Yes, folks, good evening. Welcome back. It is starting 11 prediction time once again. This time for tomorrow's game against Ross County at Celtic Park, and of course, it is the final game before the break for the World Cup. Aside from the friendlies in Australia, there'll be no Celtic games for 4 or 5 weeks, and then we come back into a hectic sort of Christmas fixture schedule where there'll be lots of big games, lots of tough away games for us in there, but I don't know how I'm going to manage really without Celtic. I know the World Cup's on, but I don't really have the usual World Cup excitement given that it's in November and everything that comes along with the World Cup in Qatar, so I'm not exactly buzzing for it. But tomorrow we've got to just finish with 3 points. That'll be the best end to what has been a brilliant start to the season. It would give us 14 wins for 15 matches, only that blip at St Mirren if we can get the points tomorrow. I think Wednesday at VAR Park wasn't our best performance of the season. Again, probably a wee bit of flatness there, the same as there was against Dundee United last weekend at Celtic Park. I just thought there's maybe a wee bit of fatigue in the team. They've played so many games. If you remember back on the return for the last international break, it was 13 games in the space of 40 odd days. So the fixture congestion has been really difficult, and I think you can just see that starting to wear on the players a wee bit, and that was shown in the performance the other night. But a brilliant win. Of course, lots of fallout from it in terms of VAR. We're talking about VAR every week, every game. VAR is the headline. Really confusing situation though, and shoddy, to be honest. Another shoddy example of how to officiate from Scottish football. This camera that was meant to be focusing on the Jota goal was looking at the dugout or something, which is why that TV still, that the image they used at the time live was from 50 yards up the other end of the pitch, which is just absolutely bonkers. But it's absolute amateur hour for the SFA to have to come out and confirm, the camera that was supposed to be looking at that incident wasn't pointing in the right direction at that time. Now, the offside call looks really, really close. I've seen people say it's definitely onside, people saying it's definitely offside. It's really, really close. Maybe if the camera was in line, you could tell if Jota's head was maybe just ahead of Stephen O'Donnell's left shoulder, but it's an absolute disgrace that we've brought in VAR in this country, and 4 or 5 games in, we can't even get a camera looking at the action. It's absolutely laughable. I suppose that is likely to happen if you're using the sort of broadcast cameras as the VAR cameras as well. I don't know if that's a sort of financial decision. I just don't know how a VAR camera that's supposed to be there to be used for decisions, big decisions like goals, is somehow pointing at the dugout or pointing in some other direction away from where the play is at a time when Celtic are about to score a goal. It's absolutely bonkers. I think the SFA, I think that the officiating in Scotland has been really, really poor across the board. They're not covering themselves in glory with VAR. Celtic have had a handful of shockers already, and it's only been in a few weeks, so I do think they're at it with it. Really, really poor. It needs to improve. It's just funny that these things keep happening in Celtic games, innit? These unexplainable mistakes. Right, let's get to tomorrow then. Ross County have won their last 2 games. No doubt they'll be in a much better place than they were a few weeks ago. They were in really poor form, rooted down towards the bottom of the table. They're up to 10th now. They will be higher in confidence off the back of those back-to-back league victories. We've won 13 of our last 14 games against them, and we're on a brilliant unbeaten home league record of 31 games. That's 27 wins and 4 draws in that period of time. And as I say, if we can chalk up another win tomorrow, we'll close out this first half of the season in really, really good shape. We'll get to the team then, and we'll start in goals, as we always do in the starting 11s, with number 1, Joe Hart. I think at right back, we'll see Anthony Ralston come back into the team. I said during the week, well, by the way, I got 11 out of 11 during the week. That's absolutely unbelievable, by the way. I'll maybe give you the lottery numbers at the end of this video as well. I think Ralston will come back in at right back tomorrow. I said whoever played out of him and Juranovic on Wednesday, I think the other would probably play against Ross County. I think that will be the case. And that would mean Juranovic's last game before he goes off to the World Cup with Croatia. I think Ralston will come back in, played last weekend against Dundee United. And as I say, Ange has been switching between the two of them in the last few weeks. So I think it'll be Ralston at right back. I think the centre-half pairing will stay the same. As I say, that's important for us. I know we're coming into this break where we're not going to play competitive matches for 4 or 5 weeks, but I think the more Starfelt and Carter Vickers can play together, the better. Starfelt looks like a player that needs a run of games to really get up to speed. We knew that when he arrived at the club last season. You could see the mistakes in his game, particularly on the ball. Again, a wee bit rusty the other night in terms of that, but I thought he defended really, really well. In the air, he's brilliant. I think defending on the front foot, getting in, nicking in front of strikers, really, really good the other night. We know what his strengths are. I think he's a much better option than Jens. I can see for the comments that people are still split on that, but there's absolutely no doubt for me that the best pairing is Carter Vickers and Starfelt. I think Greg Taylor will play at left back. Could we see Bernabei start? As I say, he was hard done to last weekend with that handball and then he had to come off because of the booting. Might be a game for him to come in at left back. But I think Greg Taylor will keep his place in that position in midfield. I think there'll only be one change to the three that played against Motherwell. Matt O'Reilly, who's been a constant in that position since McGregor's been out. Kenny gave him high praise the other night. He was really, really good. Integral in the first goal. A really good tackle. Snap him in to win the ball back and then squaring it for Kyogo to tap it in. He did look like he tired in the game though. And I know that's something that when he came in last season, both him and Tatati in midfield towards the end of games looked like they were getting really tired. As I say, there's been a lot of minutes in their legs over the last sort of 2 months. Champions League games as well. And Matt O'Reilly has played most minutes. He just looked a wee bit tired towards the end of the game, but I think he has grown into that position. I don't think it gets the best out of him, and I still don't. But I think if Ange wants a technical player in there, he was the best option. And I think he's grown week to week in that position. But the sooner we can get McGregor back, the better, and have O'Reilly move up the pitch into his more natural position. Hatate will play, and I think David Turnbull will come back into the team to replace Aaron Moy. Moy, another one going to the World Cup. Turnbull started last weekend. I think it's maybe a good game for Turnbull to start in again. Well suited to the home games, I think. David Turnbull against domestic opposition. I think it's a game where he can really go and create things going forward and find those pockets of space, sort of in the number 10 position. And with Hatate alongside him, we should get plenty of creative output from midfield tomorrow. In terms of the front three, I think we'll see it go back again to similar to last week against Dundee United. I think Haksabanovic will play on the right-hand side where he got those 2 goals against Dundee United. He came on during the week. I thought he looked lively. There's just some times when he's in crossing positions, he likes to drop the shoulder. He's got a few step overs. I would just like to see him be a little bit more direct and try and find a cross earlier or drive into the box early. He's just a wee bit hesitant, and I think that's symptomatic of the whole team in the last couple of weeks. I think when we were getting to those wide areas in good crossing positions, either on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, we're sort of working the ball back out. It's going back to Juranovic. During the week it went back to Juranovic, back into Carter Vickers, and we're almost working it back out, coming down the other side where I thought there was space for us to maybe try and find a cross or slide a wee ball into the box. We just looked a wee bit hesitant. Again, that could be an element of fatigue in there, but I think Haksabanovic will come back on the right-hand side. I think Jota will keep his place on the left, denied a brilliant goal by that controversial VAR decision. Unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable build-up play for Kyogo, by the way. The assist of the season, holding off 2 defenders, 1-2 I think it was with Abada, and then a brilliant pass for Jota and a lovely dink finish. What a goal it would have been if it had counted, but it didn't. I think Jota, as the game went on, kind of got poorer. I think his use of the ball in the final third could have been much, much better aside from that disallowed goal. But again, he's been out for a wee while there, so I think the more games he can get, the quicker he can get back up to speed. But again, I say that knowing that we're going to have this 4-week break. So through the middle, I'm going to go with Giakoumakis for tomorrow. Kyogo, really interested to read, by the way, having just lavish praise on him for that assist for the disallowed goal. I read coming into this one that he's got the highest conversion rate of any striker in the league. Imagine my shock at that. He's had 36 shots and scored 10 goals. That's better than any other striker in the league, including Giakoumakis. So it does show that even though there's this perception about Kyogo that he needs lots of chances and he misses lots of chances, so far this season in the league he's been very, very efficient with the shots that he's taken, and he scored 10 goals from a relatively low volume of shots. Anyway, I think Giakoumakis will come back in tomorrow. Again, I think that's similar to right back. Whoever didn't play on Wednesday, I think will start the game tomorrow, so I think Giakoumakis will come in. And listen, it's a good game for Giakoumakis to try and go and impose himself, try and get in the score sheet. He didn't manage to get in the score sheet last weekend, but he had a vital role in setting up Haksabanovic for one of his goals. But as a striker, someone so hungry to score goals, you can really tell that when you watch Giakoumakis. He's so hungry to score. He'll be looking to get back on the score sheet, and if he starts tomorrow, I would back him to do that. There you go. That is the starting 11 I think Ange will go with for the final game before the World Cup tomorrow against Ross County. Like this video, comment with your own thoughts on the team below. Let me know who you think will start, how many changes there'll be off the back of Wednesday's game. And tomorrow we'll be back with the full-time reaction for Celtic Park, and the post-match pint returns from Malone's after the game as well. We'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.